Hello, everyone, and welcome into our weekly Wednesday webinar. I'm so happy to be here hosting this for you guys today. For those of you who don't know, my name is Danny Robinson. I am the sales director here at Route Consultant, and I'm excited to be joining you again for this awesome weekly tradition of ours. And in the traditional fashion, I have to start with a couple of wise words from our legal team. So real quick, hear me out. Route Consultant is not endorsed by and is not recommended by Federal Express Corporation, FedEx Ground, or Amazon. Route Consultant is not sponsored by, is not approved by, and is not associated with, and has no connection whatsoever with Federal Express Corporation, FedEx Ground, or Amazon. That's it, and that's all. Thanks for hearing me out on that one. So like I said, welcome in. Wanted to let you know about some of our upcoming events here at Route Consultant. Of course, everyone knows in a couple of days, we'll be hosting our annual Expo and Contractor Party in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. We hope to see each and every single one of you there. If you haven't registered yet, do not panic. We still have time for you to become a part of that awesome annual event. Just go to our website. I know my team is going to put that registration link in the chat box right here, right now. So please, if you're not registered already, go over there, click, get yourself a room, get your rear ends into Las Vegas, and we'll see you out there for a great time. All right. After Expo on August 14th and 15th, we will be hosting one of our in-house new investor summits. That's a really great opportunity for someone who's newer to the space to be able to come into our offices, meet with our team, meet with our vendor partners, and come in and learn everything that there is to know about valuing businesses, getting to understand the right way to come into this as a new investor, and of course, all of the opportunities for Q&A like we always do and like we love to offer you guys. So make sure you register for both of those events. Looking forward to seeing you at each. I will be a part of all of them, and I can't wait to meet you all. As far as some new listings, some great new things that we're bringing to the market inventory-wise, I've got a couple I'd like to go over with you real quick. Out of Central Texas, we have a fantastic P&D opportunity. It's 11 P&D routes priced at $575,000, which represents about 63% of total revenue. There are 3 managers for 11 routes. That's pretty heavy duty. There's a lot of room for efficiencies to be added in there, but definitely a current hands-off opportunity if someone's looking for a remote ownership operation. There are 13 trucks, which leaves you 2 for spares, overflow opportunities and maintenance needs. The CSA covers a very high growth territory with a large population. It is a very urban area and dense low mileage opportunities. These routes are averaging about 43 miles per day, which is, I think, maybe the lowest that I've ever seen on any P&D operation. So really great there in Central Texas. On the line haul side, out of South Central Pennsylvania, we have 3 line haul runs priced at $925,000. That represents about 78% of overall revenue. It's running at a 14% margin currently. It is a small and manageable operation, a great opportunity for someone looking to get into the line haul space. 4 tractors there, so you've got a spare for maintenance needs and for growth. All of those ranging in date from 2018 to 2023 models. There is some assumable truck debt that you can structure into that deal. And the runs are made up of 2 dedicated team runs and 1 unassigned team run. The dedicated runs are very high mileage. They're in very strong positioning there in the terminal, and they offer the best profitability in the FedEx Ground space. Those high mileage team runs do. So if you're interested at all about those, please don't hesitate. Reach out to us. info@routeconsultant.com. We'll connect you with the right broker and make sure you get all of the information that you need to explore those opportunities. So now that we've got all of that fun stuff out of the way, what we're going to talk about today, we'll keep things brief and open up as large a section of Q&A as we possibly can. But we really want to talk about opportunities for investors currently in this market. So we're going to touch a little bit on business valuations, market trends, and an outlook for FedEx Ground. If this is a topic that interests you, I do want to note that our CEO, Annalie Kate, and our Director of Analysis, Leah Nelson, are going to be doing an entire session at Expo on this. I believe it's Sunday morning. You can check our website for the exact date and time of that. But if this is something that interests you and I'm just kind of dropping some crumbs in there that leave you a little bit more curious, make sure you're at Expo and make sure you're in that session. Annalie and Leah are 2 of the most intelligent and incredibly knowledgeable women when it comes to the FedEx Ground space on this planet. And I encourage you all to be there. So really just wanted to quickly, when we start talking about the valuations and opportunities for investors, wanted to go into the valuation side of things. A question that I get very frequently right now from investors and from people looking to sell their businesses is, hey, what does the market look like? Where are valuations at with businesses right now? I know that there was a downturn last year, but how are things looking right now? So to touch on that, I just wanted to let everyone know, hey, look, multiples, as far as the multiple of EBITDA that we're selling these and pricing these businesses at, has held very firm, even through the tough lending economy that we're in. And with all of the macros, with some volume downturns in certain aspects of the FedEx Ground space, we're seeing the multiple hold really, really firm. We list most of our businesses right around a 4.2 times that EBITDA or net operating income number. And we're seeing the overwhelming majority of those close right about a 3.8. That is the traditionally exactly where we've always sold these businesses at over a decade of us doing this. And that really hasn't budged much. And that should tell all of you that this, the FedEx ecosystem as a whole for FedEx Ground, it's in a very strong place right now. These businesses are desirable. They are growing, and it is a great opportunity for someone to come in and run, 14, 15, all the way up to 20% margins, which is just not a very, common opportunity in any small business that you're going to own. So when it comes to valuations, yes, we may see dollar amounts for sale prices trending, starting to plateau. They trended down a little bit at the beginning of the year, but we're seeing those kind of plateau and even inch higher right now. So it is a really great time for people to get into this space, because with all of the change happening in FedEx Ground right now, we're still operating in what we would refer to as a buyer's market. And that's going to change, rapidly, because we see express volume starting to be integrated into these businesses, and that's going to increase revenue, increase profitability, increase margins across the board, and make these businesses even more desirable than they already are. So now is the time to act if you're looking to become an investor in this space or looking to take on any of these businesses that we are brokering currently. So please reach out to us with questions. Let's get you signed up for some consulting. Make sure you're as knowledgeable and ready to go for this process as possible. And we'll get this done before peak season if at all possible. We're always available to you, and we'll be available throughout Expo weekend. All of the brokerage and sales and consulting teams will have different shifts at our RC booth there at the Expo, and we'll be happy to answer any and all questions for you right there. So let's talk a little bit about the express integration to this space and how that's going to affect the valuations of these businesses moving forward. Across the country, we're seeing the test market succeed with this integration process. We're seeing revenue and volume increase, 10 to 20% in certain CSAs. With that express integration, and people are being able to utilize that to build even further efficient models into their business operation and to their DRO. Mainly because the express volume is smaller parcels that they're able to fit into their current DRO structure and their current trucks. Some people are having to add them, but at the end of the day, what this is really going to mean to you as investors is that right now, if you were to buy a business through Route Consultant to get into the FedEx Ground space, there is they are at the best purchase price that we've seen in a long time, right? So as far as percentages of revenue and the availability of these businesses, right now is the time to act, because we know for a fact that this express volume is on its way. It will be hitting all of these contracts and every single CSA across the country in one way, shape, or form, and they're expecting that to be finalized within the next 6 to 18 months, depending on that territory. So buying a business now with the known growth that is going to be coming from that is a big win for anyone coming into this space as a new investor. So with that being said, it's good for the market. It's good for the network as a whole. It's going to continue to strengthen FedEx Ground and the contractor network that operates these businesses. And we're still very bullish on this. The express volume is going to be a big hit for everyone for a long time to come. And we've talked a good bit in the recent past about a potential UPS strike. We know now, as of yesterday, that the Teamsters and UPS have come together and they have agreed to terms, and they will avoid a strike. And while some people may think that that's not the best news for FedEx, it's actually fantastic news for FedEx. It's great for FedEx stock, for FedEx investors, and for FedEx contractors. We weren't around as a brokerage the last time that UPS went on strike, but we have heard the horror stories about Florida stealing volume in boxes and all of the chaos that it costed the entire US economy. But the UPS strike being averted It's good for the entire American economy. It's good for the logistics space, and it's very good for FedEx, who can continue to bolster those new clients that they brought on who were in fear of that entire situation, but also with the express and volume being integrated into these businesses. We know now that we're going to see a steady rise in volume and profitability for all of these operations for the time to for some time to come now. So to summarize that first aspect of that, valuations are sort of plateauing, trending up because of the integration of Express. We're seeing that listing multiple hold firm. And even with the lending markets, earlier today, we saw that the Fed raised the interest rates another quarter point, highest rates in almost a quarter century, I believe, is where we're at right now. Even with that being the case, we're still seeing interested investors come to us. We are actually increasing the number of deals that we're doing right now through bank loans, less cash buys, more bank loans involved in that deal structure. Even with those increased interest rates, people are having unlimited amounts of success and coming into the space and acquiring these businesses at a really appropriate price, and they're poised for significant growth over the next 6 years or so. Where was I going with that? I apologize. As far as other opportunities for investors are concerned, we are approaching what we refer to as the blackout period for line haul sales. There's going to be a short time there where FedEx is going to go ahead and renegotiate all of the line haul opportunities, or rather all of the line haul contracts and their compensation moving forward. So we are getting to that point now where peak season's just around the corner. And there's going to be a real rush to get businesses evaluated and sold before that happens. So if you have been toying around with this idea, if you have been kind of inching your way towards saying yes to the right business, I can't say it any more clearly than this. Now is the time to act. The valuations are going to continue to increase, and with that means the sales price is going to increase. And of course, if you want to get something done before peak season hits and FedEx says no more sales till next year, then now is absolutely the time to act. We have time to get it done the right way, and get you in and comfortable in that operation before the holiday season hits and that volume really begins to spike. So with that being said, I really just wanted to take the time. I'm kind of here on my own today, but I'm happy to take any and all questions that we have. So we're going to go ahead and open up the Q&A portion. If you have those questions, please make sure they're in the Q&A part of the screen here, not in the chat one. Those are two separate things, but we're going to go ahead and dive into these. Give me 1 second here. Express volume raises all boats, line haul and P&D, from Keith Branson. Keith, it is definitely going to affect the P&D side more than the line haul side. I don't expect Express to do much for the line haul side, and there's some very specific reasons why. But at the end of the day, P&D is really going to be the side of the FedEx Ground operation that's going to benefit most from this integration. And it's because it's the last mile box to the door aspect of what Express did. And that correlates more with P&D, obviously, than line haul does. Most of what line haul would be doing in this situation, not to get too into the inside baseball talk of this, but it would be really, spot runs, getting the volume from airports or where have you to the terminals for sort and load onto the P&D trucks. So no, I don't think that it's really going to have much of an effect on line haul. Keith Branson, you've got a few on here. We're going to make sure that we answer them all. Line haul, ? When is the cutoff for transfer with FedEx, or do they allow the transfer to a new owner through October, November, December? This is a really great question. So blackout period has been announced for this year. It's going to be coming up middle of next month through middle of September. Typically it's 3 to 5 weeks, depending on how many contracts they're dealing with at the time. But traditionally what we've seen, Keith, is that once that blackout period is over, they've renegotiated rates for the following year. Those businesses can transition in October, November, December. It's not as high of a rate of turnover there as it is in the Qs 1, 2, and 3, but we absolutely have done it before, Keith, and there's no doubt in my mind that we're absolutely going to be able to get that done again this year. So let's see. Keith, you got one more. What is the cutoff for line haul closing date? So if you're going to do it before the blackout date, it would really probably need to be August 10th, I believe is the date. We're going to go with August 10. And then after that, it's really wide open again until the following year's blackout date. Okay. Raj Shaw. How does UPS now planning to pay $49 an hour to their drivers impact FedEx and its subcontractors, if any? It's a great question, Raj. Yeah. The Teamsters definitely did their best to get the drivers for UPS everything that they asked for, and I'm pretty sure that they got just about everything that they asked for, right down to air conditioners into the delivery vehicles. So hats off to them. A solid work. Way to go. As far as what kind of effect that's going to have on the FedEx Ground space and contractors in the space, it's probably not going to have much of an effect at all. You will find that the FedEx model is really predicated on preventing the unionization of their delivery force with FedEx Ground. And UPS is very much so dependent on that. So it's two very separate and very different business models. Additionally, that $49 an hour mark, that's for long tenured drivers with UPS, not folks that are kind of coming in off the road the first couple of years, right? So you definitely have to earn your way up to that that level of compensation with UPS. But my answer would be that it's probably not going to have much of an effect at all with the way that FedEx contractors compensate their drivers. It's a very different model where UPS folks, that's really a career for them, and it's really more of a job for the average driver in the FedEx Ground network. So I hope that answers your question, Raj. We'll move on down here. We're going to fly through them today, guys. Daryl Kelly. I know peak/holiday season starts about the beginning of November, but when is the blackout period for line haul contracts? So we touched on this a little bit ago. I'm sure you just typed the question in before I got to that. But the blackout period for line haul is really about a 4-week-long time frame. It's going to start middle of August to the middle of September, and then we'll be off and running again with those deals and getting those things sold. Okay. Beautiful. Melanie Pellegrino. Express voted to go back to negotiations. How will that affect us? Strike imminent? I'm not sure what you're asking there, Melanie. So I apologize. If you wanted to maybe clarify a little bit more down the line, I'd be happy to answer your question. I certainly don't want to leave you hanging. Or if you wanted to shoot me an email, I'd be happy to answer any and all questions offline as well, if that's going to help make this a little bit more clear to you. All right. On down the line, Rick McNair. When will the blackout period begin for P&D? There actually isn't a blackout period for P&D, Rick. We do have what we call peak season. Obviously, I've referred to that a couple of times, and that's typically going to be about, Black Friday through the end of Christmas, right? That real big, busy holiday season where people are going online and they're ordering their presents and they're getting things delivered and shipped and all that good fun stuff that comes along with the holiday season. Traditionally, during that peak season time frame, beginning of November until the early parts of January, FedEx is not going to approve new buyers coming in to assume contracts or to purchase businesses. Now, if you're already well underway and under contract and have a firm stand-up date for in that time period, it's a little bit different, but it's not necessarily a blackout period. The reason we call it a blackout period in the line haul space is because across the board, every single line haul contractor in the FedEx Ground network has their rates renegotiated at the exact same time. So truly, every contractor gets a rate increase every year at that time, and they just do it all at once, one big thing. It's so different doing the negotiations for a P&D operation because it's not even just regionally specific, but more even terminal and CSA specific, the way that they build those compensation charts out, that they can't do it all at once. So a P&D business renegotiates their rates on an annual basis, just like line haul does, but it's 12 months from when you stood the previous contract up, not all at once like the line haul operators do. Okay. Great question there, Rick. Keith, again, loving all the questions from you, my man. I hope to see you in Las Vegas. So what I hear that we can get something done before December 31st, my concern is around tax needs. Keith, totally understand where you're coming from there. And 100% we get this question every single year, and we always are going to give you the same answer. Let's get working on it right now. If you've got something in mind as far as a purchase price in an area that you want to be in, get in touch with us. We'll connect you with the appropriate broker or sales director. We'll start making connections, and we can really be creative with deal structures to fast track these things and try and get it done before that peak season time frame hits. So, reach out to us directly with whatever specifics you're looking for. And we'd be happy to oblige any and all questions that you have and put you in a position where we can absolutely make something happen before December 31st. I can't guarantee it, but man, oh man, we do it every single year. And I would be happy to help you get it done this year, Keith. All right. Greg Brooks asks, what do you see as customary NOI margins for $1 million revenue line haul operators? It's a really great question, and we can give you some ballpark figures here, but really, I mean, the average line haul operator should be somewhere between, 16 and 25% on their margins. It's a little bit higher on the profitability than the P&D side. But man, oh man, it's a different beast altogether to operate those businesses than P&D. So the net operating income, we probably would say averaging right around, 17 to 20%, I think, is probably the most average. So on $1 million business, you'd be right around $180,000 to $200,000 in NOI. And we'd more than likely be listing that business for about 70% of revenue overall or so, or right in that $700,000 to $750,000 range. And inside of the nuance of that there, Greg, I mean, it really depends on the fleet structure, how many miles those things are doing, every single week, and a few other mitigating factors. But broad array ballpark numbers, that's where you're going to be at with that one. Okay. Thanks for the question. Thanks so much. And Keith Branson, my man, he's back at it again. That 3.8x, does that change as we see EBITDA over $1 million? It really, I mean, that's the average closing multiple that we're seeing based on our evaluations and the businesses that we're brokering and selling, right? Sometimes it's going to be higher, sometimes it's going to be lower, sometimes it's going to be right on point. But typically, if you see a multiple that's going to be a little bit higher than that 3.8, if you're up around 4.2, even a little bit higher than that, I think I've closed one this year that was at a 4.4. That was a business that was operating premium efficiency and in a very, very desirable location in Central California that was offering unmitigated growth potential, right? So that 3.8, that is really an average, a ballpark average of all the deals that we're doing right now and have done so far this year. It's not necessarily a hard and fast law that we're always going to be right there. But especially with deals that are going through banks, that 3.8 time multiple, given where the lending markets are and where businesses need to cash flow with that CapEx and the interest rates that they're suffering under right now, 3.8 tends to be and really seems to be the safe mark to be at to get those deals closed. All righty. Down to Melanie Pellegrini. Oh, you were talking about express pilots. So when Melanie was saying that she had, they had moved to, vote to authorize a strike with Express. Now I'm understanding. Yes, the pilots with FedEx, they rejected the offer that they had gotten. That's 100% correct. Express pilots don't have a ton to do with the ground network right now. There's small amounts of volume, obviously with the Express integration into the ground network that are going to be, it's going to come into play. But all of the rumors and whispers that I'm hearing and that we're hearing as a whole here at Route Consultant are that this is something that's not really going to be moving into, a strike scenario. We expect this to be negotiated out and figured out between both the Express pilots and FedEx corporate sometime this year. I really don't think that it's going to be a long-term problem or that it's going to really represent or present any major issues for the network as a whole. Okay. Raj is back. Raj Shaw, I love you, my man. What would be an average price or valuation range? Man, you got me there, Raj. Let's try it again. What would be an average price and valuation range for an assigned solo and team run on the line haul side? There are so many things that go into that, Raj. It's really hard for me to just kind of pinpoint the price and valuation range for something without any more details than that. I will tell you that the profitability of a business and the margins that the business are running are going to have a direct effect into what the listing price is going to be recommended by us to the seller to be. We obviously, as brokers, we're not going to dictate the listing price for anything that we're brokering. That's 100% up to the owner of the business and the person that's selling that contract. But Raj, I know that we've talked before, and I'd be happy to get on another call with you and we can really dial into this a little bit more. And I can hopefully get you some more specifics with a little bit more specific parts of that question. All right. Anonymous attendee, there's always one. All right. Freight Waves had an article today that stated labor laws. FedEx is governed under the Railway Labor Act, while UPS is governed under the National Labor Relations Act. How did this happen, and why isn't FedEx governed under the National Labor Relations Act? Can this be elaborated on now or a future Wednesday webinar? I tell you what, that sounds like a question that's way above my pay grade, Anonymous. I would venture to say that it's because of the way that the FedEx Ground folks are contractors rather than employees. Not really sure, to be quite honest with you. But what I can do is I can get you an answer if you want to. I know that my email was popped into that chat box. Go ahead, shoot me an email with that question. I'll get with a couple of people who are much more informed and knowledgeable about the legal side of things like that, and I'll get you the best answer possible. All right. Thank you so much, Anonymous. Good one. Good question. My goodness. We haven't seen or heard from Spencer in a long time. Is he still involved with Route Consultant? Whew. Anonymous, that's another great question. And of course he is. He's our president and founder, and he's going to be delivering some fantastic content at Expo. Make sure that you're there and you will get your fill of Spencer. He'll even buy you a drink or two. All of it's on us. Make sure you're there. It's going to be a great time. But Spencer's going to be doing a breakfast Q&A session and giving kind of a large scale, address on the health of the FedEx Ground network. Him and Annalie do that the second morning of Expo every year. It's going to be great. We're going to have a Bloody Mary bar there for you guys. Make sure that you're there. He's also, of course, going to be introducing our keynote speaker, Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank. Another reason that you guys have to be in Vegas. It's going to be a great time, invaluable amounts of information and opportunity that we're going to be able to provide for you there. So yes, Spencer's not going anywhere. He is the reason that Route Consultant is here today, and he is never going to stop fighting for contractors and continue to add value to the network and to the FedEx Ground ecosystem. Daryl Kelly. Does FedEx interview potential new line haul contractors during the blackout period? Daryl, not a darn thing happens with contractors and contract sales and line haul during the blackout period. It is a legitimate blackout. They are 100% focused on renegotiating the rates for these contractors to effectively make sure that they are going to maintain their profitability and their ability to run these routes and these operations on a day-to-day basis. So no, typically we don't see those interviews, or it's called an AIM, an assignee interview meeting. Typically we don't see that happening during the blackout period. It either happens before or after, and we can get you some more details about that. And if you're close, Daryl, I'm not sure if maybe you're working with someone here in office on some of these deals, but if you are, we can absolutely get you some hints on or some help on making sure that you're prepared for that, no matter when it's scheduled. Okay. On to the next one. Looks like we're getting near the end of the list here. So if you have any questions, make sure to drop them in that Q&A box. I'm happy to stick around as long as you guys need me to. Raj back again. He says, so purchasing line haul business can't be done until after the blackout period. Did I understand this correctly? Raj, we absolutely have time to get it done before then. I have closed a line haul deal in 10 days flat, and I can do it again if you give me the opportunity to. So please, don't feel like that should be any reason for you guys to pump the brakes on any deal that you're pursuing. We can be aggressive, we can get it done in time, and we can absolutely get you approved and ready to stand up right after the blackout period, if not before. And if you stand up after, hey, you're getting a pay raise on day one, and that's a big win. So Raj, hit me up. I know you've got my number. Happy to answer more questions for you. I'm loving everything that you guys are bringing. These are really, really great questions. Keith Branchin. Tell Butch to call me something. Oh yeah, you want old Butchie boy to reach out to you. I'll tell you what, Keith, I'm going to make a note of it right here, and I'll make sure that Butch reaches out to you. Hopefully you're going to be at Expo, Keith, because we are absolutely hosting newer investors. You don't have to be a contractor to get in this year, so make sure that you come. Butch will be there. He can answer all of your questions. We've got some really exciting opportunities for folks who are interested in getting into our consulting programs. So make sure that you're there. He said, oh, Keith, you're closing on your business, so you can't make it. Congratulations, man. I'm happy to hear that you're closing on a new business. That's great news. It's okay that you're not going to be at Expo if that's the case. That is the one time that I will allow you to not be at Expo. If you're standing up on your operation, really happy for you, Keith. That's fantastic news, man. Glad that that's happening for you. So I'll tell you what, we don't have any other questions that are in that Q&A right now, but I really enjoyed all of the time that I got to spend with you today. Last call going once, going twice. No more questions. All right. Well, just to recap everything, folks, make sure that if you're not registered yet for the 2023 Contractor Expo and Party and the beautiful and fantastic Las Vegas, Nevada, that you get that done today. There are still opportunities to get rooms. Don't book through Expedia. We've got a link on our website. Call us, reach out, info@routeconsultant.com if you're having issues. There is still time to get registered and get a ticket and get out to Las Vegas to hang out and have a good time with us. I really, really appreciate each and every one of you being here today. Thank you so much for your time. That's all we've got for now. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.